Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of Born to Run, A Hidden Tribe, Super Athletes and the Greatest Race the World Has Never Seen, by Christopher McDougall. There are no tracks left by the best runners, Tao Te Ching. In Born to Run, a wide range of perspectives on the sport of running are presented in an engaging and thought-provoking manner. Folklore, cutting-edge science, anthropology, and investigative journalism all come together in McDougall's quest to answer the question of whether or not humans are meant to run, and he doesn't hold back. When I asked myself, how come my foot hurts? It all began. In an attempt to find an answer, McDougall sought out the best sports medicine specialists in the United States and spoke with the brightest minds in the field about why running injuries are so commonplace. Sports medicine owes its existence largely to Dr. Torg, who said, "Running is your problem." You can't argue with a world-renowned expert who says that 8 out of 10 runners get injured every year, and he backs this up with statistics. Our author sought a second opinion, however. Each person had the exact same viewpoint. Injury-free runners are the exception rather than the rule in the running community. That we're not supposed to run bothered McDougall, who couldn't believe that something so instinctive could be so harmful to our health. Then, by a stroke of luck, he met the enigmatic Tarahumara, or Raramuri, and a ragtag crew of outlandish individuals who were not afraid to push their bodies to the limit. For today, we'll take a brief look at one of the most compelling stories on human perseverance. Putting one foot in front of the other could be all it takes for us to achieve the ultimate state of flow and serenity, thanks to the subtle and beautiful art of simplicity. Is there any point to Bruce Springsteen's message? The way running unites our two most primal impulses, fear and pleasure, is so universal, he said. We're born to run, according to Bruce Springsteen, who wrote an entire album about it. When we're excited and happy, we run towards things. When we're scared or angry, we run away from things. Run when the going gets tough, even if your body doesn't want to. Running is what you have before you have sex in terms of stress relief and sensual pleasure. Is there a right way to run, and if so, why is it so bad for us? How could Roger Bannister run the mile in under 4 minutes while wearing leather plimsolls, and how did the Tarahumara run for up to 48 hours in nothing but a pair of handmade sandals? Is it possible that running shoes are contributing to the issue by promising too much and delivering too little? The Tarahumara can be seen in the distance. Tough guys were the gentlest, battered legs were the bounciest, the healthiest people had the worst diets, the illiterate race was the wisest, the guys working hardest were having most fun. In the midst of all this, what was running's role? Without stopping, how far could you go? Runners like the Tarahumara Indians can cover up to 300 miles in a single run. Running people, the Raramuri, have mastered the art of running through dangerous terrain without the aid of special running shoes. A world-class runner once clocked 435 miles in a row. Since this isolated tribe lives in complete isolation, the legend of their ancestors is unknown. People who live in Mexico's Copper Canyons are known as the Tarahumara, and they are known for their extreme secrecy and fear of strangers. They avoid contact with the outside world and live simple, self-sufficient lives. In the face of the conquistadors, they didn't wait around to find out what these strangers were looking for. Their treatment of them was the same as they treat everything else. They fled for their own safety. They don't leave a trace as the best runners in the world. They're quick, don't leave much of a carbon footprint, and don't even have to look down to see where they're going. In their community, there is no sense of hatred, no depression, and almost no disease or cancer. There isn't a single crime to be found here. In spite of this, they're not exactly tame in comparison. The Tarahumara are known for their love of parties, and their economy is based not only on reciprocating favors but also on beer. Running is everything to the Tarahumara. Iskiat, a magical elixir, is what they rely on to keep them going. From childhood to adulthood, running is a vital part of the tribe's culture. Raraji Pari, a high-intensity and fast-paced game, is at the heart of this running ethos. The object of the game is to kick and chase your team's ball across the vast landscape using 2 balls and 2 teams. It is not uncommon for games to last for up to 48 hours, and they are an integral part of the culture. You never know how hard it will be as a metaphor for life and endurance running. It's impossible to predict how things will turn out. You have no say in it. All you can do is tweak. We're on the hunt for the fabled white horse. While running does not cause us to age, it does cause us to stop running. McDougall sought out the mysterious character Caballo Blanco in order to learn more about the Tarahumara. The real name of Michael Randall Hickman, the man behind Caballo Blanco and Micah True, is Caballo Blanco. Rethinking his life after a painful breakup and becoming a professional fighter, he decided to reassess his priorities. To learn from the Tarahumara, he traveled to the Copper Canyons, also known as Barrancas del Cobre. To find out more about this tribe that appeared to be genetically hardwired to run, Caballo entered their world and discovered the best place on earth to run. However, McDougall doubted these snippets of folklore he had heard about this outsider who was accepted by the tribe. Still, they found themselves face to face in a hotel lobby after numerous "you just missed hims." The white horse then began spinning a yarn that would culminate in one of the most extraordinary events of our time in his running shorts and battered Teva sandals. The stage is set. No training or tapering is done by the Tarahumaras leading up to the race. They don't warm up or do any stretching. They're laughing and joking as they make their way to the starting line. Then, for the next 48 hours, go all out. It was Rick Fisher and Kitty Williams who first persuaded the Tarahumara runners to take part in the Leadville 100 ultramarathon back in the early 1990s. It was a complete disaster for the Tarahumara in the 1992 race. They smashed the course in 1993 and 1994, and the 1993 race was won by a 52-year-old Victoriano Churro, who was the oldest competitor. A record-breaking course race of 17:30 was run by the Tarahumara team in 1994. Leadville's fastest female runner record is still held by Jan Trassen. Tarahumara's success in Leadville, however, was short-lived. After a tumultuous relationship with Rick Fisher, they returned to the Copper Canyons and never returned to American soil. However, the Leadville 100 sparked a number of interesting debates. Where are the men when it comes to completing the Leadville 100? 90% of women finish the race, compared to less than 50% of men who complete the race. In general, women perform better in ultramarathons than men, and the gender gap narrows as the distance increases. The more McDougall studied running, the more he discovered about its complexities. What is running all about? His body was solved, so now it was time for him to tackle the brain, he remarked. Specifically, how do you get people to want to do this? How can we all become the natural-born runners we once were again by flipping a switch inside ourselves? Everywhere, not just in the past or the future. McDougall sets out to discover what makes running so effective. Advertising in the shoe industry would have you believe that running gear, particularly shoes, are the most important consideration. You see, this hasn't been understudied. According to peer-reviewed research, there is no evidence to support the claim that high-tech running shoes reduce or enhance performance. In fact, as running shoe technology advances, injuries are not decreasing in any way. Overuse injuries caused by running are still commonplace. Injuries occur in 65 to 80% of all runners each year. This includes not only newbies but also seasoned runners. Shin splints, Achilles heels, and plantar fasciitis plague even the best trained runners wearing the most expensive footwear. Injured runners are 123% more likely to wear high-end shoes. Running shoes with less cushioning may be better for our feet, according to research. With less cushioning, we are able to control our feet better, according to research. Due to our natural desire for stability, we overcompensate when we expect a cushioned landing. We should be reducing the thickness of our footwear rather than increasing its cushioning, experts say. Expert in long-distance running Joe Vigil believes there is a missing link in terms of the psychology of running. He has studied endurance athletes around the world. According to Vigil, many people no longer enjoy running because it used to bring them a sense of freedom, joy, and glee. We can see this mindset in action if we look to children for inspiration. Every day, we tell our children to slow down and take it easy because they're always on the go. They are reined in. Tarahumara never slow down or ease up, they run because they are inspired and passionate about the sport they love. They're giddy with excitement as they sprint. Modern running has lost its magic because it became a question of what am I getting for my effort? And what am I getting out of it? Timeline analysis reveals how this came to be. In the 1970s, there were a number of American runners who were extremely fast and extremely talented. The world, meanwhile, accelerated at an ever-increasing rate. Americans were slowing down, and it wasn't because other countries were increasing their speeds. In addition, they were slacking off because there was no longer any financial incentive to go further or faster. Using Emil's Audiobook as an example, McDougall illustrates the mindset that runners should have 3 gold medals at the 1952 Helsinki Olympics were won by Audiobook, a self-trained gymnast. After winning the 5,000 and 10,000 meters, he had a sudden surge of adrenaline and decided to run the marathon, which he completed successfully. Despite the fact that no one expected him to have any success, he raced to the finish line with an infectious smile and everyone in the crowd cheered. While some runners found him annoying for engaging in conversation with them mid-race, others regarded him as an oddity. The general public was perplexed as to how someone could remain so upbeat and positive throughout such demanding training regimens. He was a runner who embraced the values of compassion, kindness, and love. Ron Clark's "not out of friendship but because you deserve it" exchange is the perfect example of this. Because it doesn't bring in any monetary gain or widespread notoriety, ultra running is a relatively unadulterated form of competition. As a result, there is no incentive for cheating because there is so little money at stake. As a result, long-distance runners do so because they simply cannot stop. As Vigil points out, your heart has two goddesses. Wisdom and wealth are the two goddesses that are worshipped in this culture. Everyone assumes they must first amass a fortune before they can attain wisdom. As a result, they are preoccupied with the pursuit of money. They've got it backwards, though. The goddess of wealth will become envious and follow you if you give your heart to the goddess of wisdom and give her all your love and attention. Ask nothing from your running, as the saying goes. Getting started on the road. You can never stop running if you're running on the ground and in sync with the earth. McDougall enlisted Caballo's assistance in his quest to find the ideal stride. Cliché or not, most of us have to relearn the art of running. Rather than relying on gimmicky equipment, we should return to more basic methods of food preparation. Eating like a poor person isn't advocated by many of the best runners. Running's first rule is to go with the flow of the terrain you're on. Learn about the trail and treat it with respect. Be careful, but don't let yourself get paralyzed by the obstacles in your path. Running is as much about being out on the trail as it is about being in your running shoes. Think easy, light, smooth, and fast, says the second lesson. Make it as simple as possible for yourself as you begin your run. Running up a hill can be challenging if you don't chunk it up and focus on reaching the summit. Shifting your perspective and focusing on the beauty and distractions around you will help you see things in a new light. Keep a smile on your face as you run. Try to have fun and keep things light. After mastering the art of easy, a new level of lightness will be accessible. Try running with light feet and nimble movements. Keep in mind that the best runners leave no footprints behind. As a bonus, running light helps to avoid injury and saves energy. Running with ease and lightness develops a regular and smooth gait pattern and a natural rhythm. Speed will take care of itself as soon as you've got this waxed up. We must accept that running is physically and mentally exhausting from a psychological standpoint. So many people despise this for this very reason. The type of runner you become is largely determined by your response to exhaustion. In some circles, people talk about embracing it, while in other circles, people talk about conquering it. In contrast, one of the most profound ways to deal with exhaustion is by learning to love it. If you are in love with the beast, it will not be able to overcome you. Running is about ecstasy and belonging to a community, as demonstrated by the likes of Emil Audiobook, Scott Jurek, Caballo Blanco, Jen Shelton, and the Tarahumara. It's about giving back to the community and putting others' needs ahead of one's own. There may be some form of competition, but if there isn't compassion, it doesn't matter. This was by far the most exciting race we've ever witnessed. For me, finishing a long run is the only thing that matters when I'm out running. The world falls silent, and all that is left is pure flow. Movement and motion are my only companions, in the words of the poet. To bring together some of the world's best ultra-runners with the Tarahumara, Caballo and McDougall teamed up. Given that the Leadville disaster had previously alarmed the Tarahumara, this is a brazen and audacious move. Nevertheless, Caballo and McDougall put their faith in the crazy white dude and set out to gather a team of racers. To face off against the world's most extraordinary running tribe in the Copper Canyons may sound like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Among the dangers lurking in the jungle are poisonous snakes, sheer cliff faces, heat, and drug cartels, to name a few. Ultrarunners, on the other hand, aren't from this world, and they're all insane. Barefoot Ted, Billy Barnett, and Jen Shelton are on the motley crew, as are the Kids, which consists of Scott Jurek, Naked Coach Eric Horton, and the photographers, as well as the epic runners, Luis Escobar, McDougall, and Caballo. There is much debate about the author's creative license when it comes to the author's journey into the Copper Canyons. Even so, the heady mix of sublime and utterly bizarre is enough to make one want to head out and just start running right away, so it doesn't seem to matter. Trail running as a sport has taken off since the most bizarre race ever organized sparked an army of runners. There has been a 68% increase in the sport between 2016 and 2019. To sum it up, just like when you're running, Eric elaborated. When you learn something incorrectly, you'll never know how wonderful it can be. Flow, curiosity, determination, grit, and mindset. It's possible to read all the self-help books on these subjects, but perhaps the most important thing we can do is simply step outside our front doors and see what happens. A lot of people think that extreme athletes are dangerous and have a death wish, but the truth is that they have an intense curiosity about the world and themselves that drives them to do what they do. Even though the Tarahumara aren't known for their running prowess, they've always been excellent athletes. Know why people run marathons? Posed world-renowned researcher Louis Liebenberg. Our collective imagination is based on running, and our imagination is based on running. Our bodies are built to run long distances, and we have a built-in ability to do so. Running is also a vehicle for promoting equality. They can compete with people in their 60s and 70s, regardless of their age. Women tend to excel at long-distance running, and it's free. So why is it so despised? The conflict between the body and the mind is a major factor. There is a fine line between perseverance and exhaustion when it comes to endurance. As a result, they've become more sluggish as a result of the ease with which they can survive. A third issue is that running has been reduced to an assembly line style of training. We need to be more playful with our bodies, break out of our comfort zones, and play like children again. We need to be curious and open to exploring new ways to use our bodies. However, when it comes to running, easy, light, smooth, and fast is the only routine you should master. Racing is fundamentally about building a sense of belonging and belonging together. We're rushing to get together. Running back and supporting the runners at the back is good advice from Scott Jurek. By blasting iPods or imagining the roar of the Olympic Stadium crowd, other runners try to disassociate from fatigue, he says. It's easy to get outside yourself when you're thinking about someone else, Scott explains. One thing unites us all. We were made to move fast. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.